Want to start playing Dragon's Dogma 2 on release day? Then stick around until the end of the video to find out how you can win one of the 3 copies in the Gaming Analytics giveaway. In the universe of Dragon's Dogma, spells and weapons either have or can be given elemental attributes, and there are 5 known elements being fire, lightning, ice, dark, and holy. These 5 elements are also more commonly known and often referred to as the 5 Archmagicks. Intelligent use of these elemental effects can radically alter the course of battle. An ill-equipped party without a wide elemental range can find itself in deep trouble, while the same fight's difficulty can be dramatically reduced if the correct elements are utilized. Conversely, poor choices of enchantments can cause a lack of knowledge and can make even an easy battle difficult and in some cases aid the enemy. 3 of the Archmagics or elements have secondary effects or debilitations associated with them. These are Burning for fire, Frozen for ice, and Thundershock for lightning. The holy element is associated with healing, as well as damaging all undead or reanimated creatures, whereas dark Archmagick attacks can inflict critical hits, as well as is generally associated with the infliction of debilitations, which I will cover later. Neutral magic is magic not in any of the 5 Archmagics. It is produced from unenchanted magic bolts, focused bolts, and magic agents. The damage of such attacks is not reduced by any of the elemental resistances. A few other spells may also produce neutral magic. One such from Dragon's Dogma 1 is Great Sacrifice, which initially strikes with a dark magic bolt, but the shockwave which follows lacks any element and is purely magical. Non-archmagicks just refers to ways of inflicting debilitations without the use of magic, such as through creature bites or melee attacks with special weapons or arrows. This is synonymous with non-magical, even though they may have a debilitating effect. Fire magic and weapons have a chance to inflict a burning status on enemies, which gradually reduces the longer the effect lasts. Enemies set ablaze may run away, begin to roll on the ground, or grow frenzied. Traditionally, fire can also ground flying enemies, if their wings begin to burn. Particularly useful against cold-blooded enemy types like Saurians, ice attacks have a chance to freeze opponents solid, preventing them from attacking or dodging incoming attacks. Enemies killed while frozen will shatter into a million pieces. The Lightning Archmagick, also known as Thunder, may stun enemies, with a good example of this being Cyclopses returning to Dragon's Dogma 2. They are quite easily stunned with lightning magic or weapon enchantments. All physical and magical attacks with a lightning element will occasionally chain to nearby enemies and objects, a debilitation known as Thundershock. Smaller creatures hit by Thundershock are likely to be knocked down, where knockdowns result in a creature or person being knocked to the ground and temporarily vulnerable. Once downed, a creature cannot attack for a short period, during which it is more susceptible to damage, and will often leave weak spots such as its head exposed. Many enemies in the Dragon's Dogma universe resist dark elemental attacks, including all goblin variants and undead, whereas only a few enemy types possess a weakness to dark magical effects. Direwolves, dragons, Saurian sages, sirens, man-eaters, and dark bishops, to name but a few. Despite this, some dark elemental attacks such as Maelstrom can still be effective even against undead due to the side effects such as Maelstrom's fall damage. Dark magic also often acts as a conduit to inflict debilitations and other effects, with most or all debilitating spells being formally classed as dark magics. For example, sleep, torpor, blindness, silence, and so on. However, resisting the effects of these spells is done by having resistances to the specific debilitation regardless of the dark magic resistance. Holy attacks are especially potent against undead enemies. where holy elemental attacks also have a chance to heal the user for 10% of their magic defensive stat. The area of effect from curative and defensive holy magics will inflict holy damage on the undead, where this still has a chance to heal the user. An added benefit from using the Holy Archmagick is that very few enemies within the Dragon's Dogma universe have an innate magical resistance to it. All enemies in Dragon's Dogma have magical resistances, which dictate the amount of damage they take when a specific Archmagick is used on them. For example, all undead are weak to Holy and resist Dark, whilst non-skeletal undead are weak to Fire, and skeletons resist both lightning and ice, and fire to a lesser extent. Whereas ghosts are generally more susceptible to Holy, but strongly resist the Dark Archmagick. A further consideration is that all enemy creatures have differing innate resistances to different debilitations. A few, such as the aforementioned ghost, are immune to all debilitating effects. The secondary effects of attacks or spells based on one of the 5 Archmagics, such as certain debilitations and effects, are not necessarily the same as their corresponding elemental attribute, and Archmagick spells may inflict a non-Archmagick physical debilitation. Generally, however, spells inflicting debilitations or having control effects fall within the Dark Archmagicks category, whereas support spells that give invigorations are usually holy magic. Debilitations are status effects that can affect allies and foes alike. They can be inflicted with special weapons, debilitating spells, as secondary effects of the 5 Archmagics, with thrown items, special arrows, some special skills, and special creature attacks. All enchanted weapons and spells that utilize the Archmagics of Fire, Ice, or Lightning can cause the secondary effects of the Archmagics they possess, being Burning from Fire, Frozen from Ice, and Thundershock from Lightning. In general, inflictions of debilitation requires that a foe's debilitation resistance is overcome. This usually means successive attacks to increase the cumulative effect until a threshold is passed. Over time, a creature's partial debilitation may decrease, meaning that if the attacks are particularly slow, it will be harder or impossible to debilitate a creature. Within Dragon's Dogma 1, spells and Archmagics vary wildly in their power. For example, to set an enemy alight, it may take 10 elementally charged arrows, whereas specific spells within the Sorcerer and Mage's arsenal will ignite them instantaneously. Further, all strikes with a specific type of melee weapon are equivalent in terms of their debilitating power, and it is not related to the skill used. Thus, each hit with a sword using the fighter's onslaught skill has the same contribution as each and every one of the 5 sword strikes using the Moonslash skill. Winning one of the 3 copies of Dragon's Dogma 2 couldn't be easier. All you have to do is like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below which of the 5 Archmagics sounds the most interesting to you and why. Each and every comment on every Dragon's Dogma 2 video gains you 1 entry into the draw, with the winners announced on the 20th of March. Thank you so much for watching, and stay nerdy.